All right, let's talk about fruit. We all know it's good for us, but if you're trying to manage your blood sugar, it can feel like a total minefield, right? Well, today, we're digging into some really cool research that suggests maybe, just maybe, when you eat your fruit is just as important as what fruit you're eating.
I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? One minute you're here, eat the rainbow, get your fruit in, and the next, it's watch out for that sugar. It's this classic health tug of war that can honestly leave you staring at a banana, wondering if it's your best friend or your worst enemy.
So, yeah, let's unpack this whole paradox. People call fruit nature's candy for a reason. It's sweet, it's delicious, and yup, it has sugar. But that is so not the whole story.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got this amazing nutritional powerhouse. We're talking vitamins, minerals, and the real hero here, fiber, which we know helps slow down how fast sugar hits your system. But on the other hand, you've got carbs, and carbs, by their very nature, are going to raise your blood glucose. That's the fundamental trade-off we're all trying to navigate. So, before we jump into the cutting-edge stuff on timing, let's get our foundation straight. What does the official playbook from, the big guys like the American Diabetes Association actually tell us to do?
The ADA is super clear on this. Fruit is a big yes. They say go for fresh, frozen, or even canned fruit. Just make sure it's not swimming in that sugary syrup. The main thing they stress is, look, fruit has carbs, so you've got to count it in your meal plan. And the number one golden rule, it's all about portion sizes. And this slide right here, it perfectly shows why portions are so important. To get around 15 grams of carbs, you can have a pretty satisfying full cup of berries. But if you reach for dried fruit like raisins, that same amount of carbs is crammed into just 2 little tablespoons. That's a massive difference in how much you get to eat and how full you're gonna feel.
Okay, so the standard advice is solid. Choose good fruits, watch your portions. It's all about the what and the how much. But what if there's a secret chapter in that playbook we've all been missing? What if it's also about the when?
This brings us to our first piece of evidence, which I'm calling case file number 1. A really interesting study from 2022 asked a pretty simple but brilliant question. Could eating an apple before your meal actually take the edge off the blood sugar spike that follows? Now, before we get to the juicy results, let's make sure we're on the same page with this term postprandial glucose spike. It sounds complicated, but postprandial just means after eating. So it's that jump in blood sugar that happens after a meal. And if you're managing your glucose, keeping these spikes from going sky high is basically goal number 1. The way they set up this study was just beautiful in its simplicity. They got a group of people who already had some trouble with glucose, and they gave them all a meal of white rice and an apple. The only thing they changed was the order. One group ate the apple first, then waited 5 minutes and ate the rice. The other group did the reverse, rice first, then the apple. That's it. And boom, look at these results. When people ate the rice first, their blood sugar spiked by about 90 points. But the group that ate the apple first, their spike was only about 75. That is a huge difference, just from changing the order of the exact same foods. The fiber in that apple essentially ran interference, slowing everything down. Pretty amazing, right? And the researchers themselves said it best. They concluded that, yeah, eating an apple before a meal could be a simple and effective way to help manage that blood sugar response. It's not magic, but it's a super practical tool to have in your back pocket. So we know eating fruit right before a meal can help. But what about the bigger picture? Could eating fruit in the morning actually affect your blood sugar control, like all the way into the evening? Let's open up case file number 2. For this study, researchers followed 3 groups of adults for 2 weeks. Group A had a banana with breakfast, Group B had a banana after dinner, and Group C, our control group, had no bananas at all. And the cool part is everyone wore a continuous glucose monitor, so the researchers could see exactly what was happening 24/7. Now, you'd probably expect the big difference to show up right after breakfast, right? But this is where it gets really wild. The most fascinating result had nothing to do with breakfast. It was all about what was happening hours and hours later, at dinner time. Just look at this. The table shows the odds of having a blood sugar spike at dinner. For the group that ate no bananas, their risk of a spike at dinner was double what it was at breakfast. But look at the breakfast banana group. Their risk only went up by 1.5 times. It's like that morning banana provided a protective effect that lasted the entire day. The study also looked at something called glycoalbumin. The easiest way to think of this is like a short-term report card for your blood sugar. It's not the 3-month average you might be used to. It gives you a snapshot of how you've been doing over the past 2 or 3 weeks.
And here is the kicker. After those 2 weeks, only one group saw their blood sugar report card get significantly better. You guessed it, the breakfast banana group. Their overall glucose control actually improved over the course of the study. That's a pretty big deal.
Okay, so we've looked at two really compelling studies that both point to the same thing. When you eat fruit can make a huge difference. So how do we take all this science and turn into something we can actually use? Let's build out your new timing toolkit. Here are 3 simple tools. First, master the basics. None of this new info means we can forget about portion sizes. That is still king. Second, think about using fruit as a preload, just like in the apple study. Having it a few minutes before a bigger carb meal could help flatten that spike. And third, try front-loading your day. That banana study suggests that having your fruit earlier, like at breakfast, might just set you up for better blood sugar control all day long.
So look, the big takeaway here isn't some new, rigid rule you have to follow perfectly. It's about adding a new dimension to how you think about food. Instead of just asking what fruit to eat or how much, we now have this powerful new question we can ask ourselves. How can I play with the timing to make this amazing, healthy food work even better for my own body?